Hello and welcome to Today in the News on Vanguard Live. I am Precious Chukudi. Of course, it's the last day in the month of November and we're journeying into December. Everybody's asking and feeling like, okay, so Christmas is not too far anymore. All right, so let's start off with the front pages of the papers. We're looking at Vanguard first, and Vanguard is the main story says alleged partisanship. FCT Police disrupts anti-CJN protest by CSOs. The writer says CJN statement in Port Harcourt leaves much to be desired. CSOs ask CJN to resign or face nationwide protests. IPOB Ohaneze orders blast ministers for defending headers. You can see that on page 11. On page 5, Adeleke Oyetola clash over sacked workers. Executive orders. Stories above. Paul Unogo dies at 87. Alleged 206 billion naira budget pardon. Rep angry with Farouk for shunning invitation. On page 13, 2023, we are committed to credible polls in Nigeria. That's coming from the UK. Adama APC disputes. Common sense will prevail. Aisha Buhari breaks silence. Contempt. Court sentenced IGP to 3 months in prison. Federal government borrows 6.3 trillion naira through ways and means in 10 months. That report's coming from CBN. And lastly, on the front page of Vanguard, we can see a photo story showing at RT 200 non-oil exports summit. All right, let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian is leading with Tinubu leads terms to debate Obi as Arise TV insists on appearance. The writer says, respect the constitution. Candidate must attend town hall meeting. Arise TV insists. No manifesto, no debate. Tinubu tells Obi. Agbakogba, a presidential candidate must address illegitimacy of 1999 constitution. Level of vote buying alarming. INEC chairman laments. UK committed to transparent, credible electoral process in Nigeria. APC targets 5 billion naira donation with presidential crowdfunding app. Alleged identity theft, apologize to Nigerians. Atiku Okowa campaign tells Tinubu. Rivers, surrender to EFCC. Opposition party tells Fubara. You can see that on page 6. UNN ASU directs members to withhold results over unpaid salaries. You can see that on page 7. Stories above. Obey before complaint. Huriwa tells IGP as police boss gets 3 months jail. You can see that on page 3. Terrorists kill DPO's mom, brother in Katsina. Grief as gunmen kill Kaduna LP women leader. Kogi Chinese firm partners on $60 million smart security architecture. And lastly, on the front page of The Guardian, pro rata pay. ASU demands removal of Adamu Ngige Kiamo. Let's move away to the Punch newspaper. The Punch is leading with import duty controversy. Private jet owners sue government over 30 billion naira tax. The writer says that 17 business moguls, banks, others move to stop government from grounding luxury jets. Aircraft owners sues government with foreign registered firms. Trustees insist payments illegal. NCAA custom awaits court papers. Abuja court plans to set hearing date for suits. We can see a photo story showing NDLEA nabs a suspected drug baron. Brother flees. A herbalist steals money, beheads lotto operators. You can see that on pages 4 and 5. RMFAC, EFCC uncovers oil firms, $205 million unremitted funds. You can see that on page 30. Lagos Ibadan Expressway, Ogun Oyo deploys drones against kidnappers. Stories above. Depot sells 220 per litre. Marketers project 350 per litre pump price. And 87% of Nigerians' rural road deplorable. That's coming from World Bank. Lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, budget padding allegations senseless, says Finance Minister. And that's all we can take on the front pages of the paper. Join us after the break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's still Today in the News on Vanguard Live. I am Precious Chukudi. Joining me to talk about some of the stories on the front pages of our papers this morning is Mr. Gbenro Olajigbe. He's the Executive Director of Emergency and Risk Alert. He's going to be joining us via the phone. Good morning, sir. It's good to have you join me this morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure being with you.
All right, let's delve into what we have this morning, and let's talk about the protest against the CJN. That's the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode, over a political statement that he made at a dinner in Port Harcourt. He said he was glad that Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde was a member of the G5, and some group have seen this as a statement that he shouldn't be making because of the coming 2023 elections. What's your take on this one?
Yeah, I will just say that the CJN overreached himself. He shouldn't have made such statement. It was extremely political and is exposed by the virtue of his position. He didn't appreciate the position he's holding vis-a-vis that statement. That statement was too political. It was unbecoming of a Chief Justice of the Federation into political muddy water, making that statement. But as untactful as it is, I think it's a display of indiscretion, more of indiscretion than being in support of any person. I think that is what he shouldn't have been allow himself to be moved by the ecstasy of the moment. And left to me, I don't even think that the CJN should, if I were him, I would send a representative to such place because of the nature of the organizer. Everywhere, 3 months, punching to whoever speak contrary to his political opinions and everything. The CJN should have analyzed this, situate his attendance within the context of political disagreement in the PDP, the organizer, and what he has been doing in commissioning of other projects. So it was a very bad display of indiscretion on the side of CJN, and anybody is right in protesting, but that is not to conclude that CJN intentionally wanted to be political. It was, I would call it, a display of indiscretion, and I don't think he should have done that. And it didn't help matter by even the type of press release that was shown out by his office. He should have either be silent on the issue or just give a taste about what he went there to do. So I think it's I didn't like it myself. I listened to him when he was making such statements, but it doesn't represent what Chief Justice of Nigeria should say in a very politically exposed occasion like the one organized by the Rivers State Governor.
All right, let's move ahead and talk about this one. Now, there seems to be some back and forth with Governor Adeleke and his predecessor, Oyetola, over the numbers of workers employed in the twilight of the government of the latter. What's your take on the situation?
Well, I don't know the number, and they know the number among themselves. But it's very, very unfair for former Governor Oyetola to have employed. Even if it is true, it was unfair for him to have employed at the twilight of his administration. This is somebody that he hasn't done that in the last few months back. He didn't do that. Why doing it after losing election? I think it was a booby traps on the then incoming government of Adeleke, who is now the governor of the state. So it was not an action taken in good faith by former Governor Oyetola. As a matter of fact, he indeed wanted to organize a local government election. I don't know if he eventually conducted one, but he indeed wanted to do that. What he didn't do for a while. I really don't know why people are behaving like this. If you have lost election, I think it's good sportsmanship to hand over. Even and more so when you have your case in court. Why don't you do what is decent? But nevertheless, I've seen the former governor Oyetola with a very calm mien. He has that mien. He has not been so contentious aside from the problem between him and Adeleke, which I don't understand. So I engaging or employing workers into civil service, many of them, irrespective of the number, after you have lost elections, an act that you didn't do when you are governor without losing elections is an act in bad faith. And Adeleke is right to have opted or cause such employment to be reviewed as the governor of Ondo State, because as governor of Osun State. You know, when you are engaging people, you don't just employ people. You have to. How are you going to resource them? Resourcing the number, it has budgetary implication. It has, of course, other implication which is political, where the loyalty of those already employed workers will be, and it's disruptive to the system. It should have been openly done, better managed, particularly when you are still there. Why did you do the job evaluation and just suddenly declare vacancy? Even if the vacancy is 10, even if it is to the incoming governor and hand over the assessment he has done, do things rightly, and then leave. People can live in glory, even if they lose election. But here, we are always bitter, whether we show it or not, and I think that is what Oyetola display. The only area that I blame the current is tinkering with the traditional rulers.
Yes, I was going to say that because his spokesman was saying that they never sacked any workers or traditional rulers, and that what they did was just to set up a review panel to look at the numbers of people that were employed and the due processes of the employment. But what do you think about the review panel, like just coming up right, like almost immediately after Governor Adeleke became the governor of the state?
Review panel. That one is just to endorse the decision he has made. He made it clear, but during the appointment, that appointment will not stand, that he will sack all of them. So he made it abundantly clear. The review is just to formalize it. What type of review is he talking about? I think people should not be political about all statements. Go to where you are going, and we know more so that we know. Look, there is a better way of managing issues. That is what I'm saying. Whether you like it or not, whether Oyetola appointed or not, those are indigents of Osun State. At the tipping part of your government, at the threshold of your government, it should try as much as possible to build consensus, to create community of Osun people, rather than segregating them along political party lines as a governor. I'm not saying that you cannot review such appointment and everything, but don't color it with deception. I've just told you now that Oyetola did what was wrong. But then, even if you have to correct what is wrong, you have to rightly correct what is wrong. That is what I'm saying. There's a wrong way of doing the right thing, and that is what we will end up doing. Because even the relief of traditional rulers of their appointment could become contentious, and create problem for him in governance in Osun State. If there are crises in those communities and everything, it could become the arsenal of his government. So you need to balance your government. You need to have you don't take, there are certain decisions you don't take at the tipping stage of your government. Stabilize your government first. Then you can now begin to, after you have liaised with people, review all what you have done, at least pretend that you are engaging the people to know, to understand why you are taking certain decisions. Then you stabilize your government. You can now begin to talk that it's not being combative or being belligerent at the threshold of your government. It can destabilize the government. It can cause mistrust among people. It can cause anarchy or violence, depending on the implications of such decision. That's why I'm saying that.
All right, let's move ahead and talk about this one. Now, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has sentenced the Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Khali Baba, to 3 months imprisonment for disobeying a court's order, of which the police has said that the IGP will never disregard court's order or rule of law. What are your thoughts from what is happening with the Inspector General of Police and also the courts?
Inspector General of Police should go and serve his time or appeal and apply for stay of execution of that judgment. The law is law. I heard somebody yesterday say that he will now arrest the Inspector General of Police to go and put him in prison. Look, democracy thrives on rule of law. And one of the tripods, arguably the most important one, among the tripod of rule of law is supremacy of law. So when the Attorney General is convicted like that, it becomes the responsibility of the president to ask him to surrender to law. He must obey law. It's not superior to Nigerian law. There is equality of equality before law in Nigeria. There is civil liberty. We can enjoy. Those are the 3 elements of rule of law: supremacy of law, equality before the law, and at the same time what we call civil liberty. He can enjoy his liberty. He has the right to appeal and the right to ask for stay of execution. It must be equal to every Nigerian. Law must not be above law. So the richest and the most privileged Nigerians should never be above law. And that is why you have in decent society where president can go to jail. So it becomes the responsibility of the president to command him, not even advise him. He has no option. You do the right thing. You either go to jail or you appeal and ask for stay of execution, or I remove you, appoint pending the determination of what of the action, and then the law continues. And if the president does not do that, which is reasonable in the eyes of constitution and the oath he has taken to uphold Nigerian constitution and create atmosphere for obedience to law of Nigeria, it becomes gross gross misconduct on the side of the president, which is equally an impeachable offense in Nigeria. That means that if the president refuses to perform his duty, the National Assembly, the Parliament, can ask him to perform his duty, and if he fails, it becomes gross misconduct for which impeachment is applicable. So it's not that nobody should be asking. It's only in Nigeria you are, so we are arresting. Every system, structures and institutions are there to create orderliness in society, and particularly in a democracy, create environment for a thriving rule of law that is anchored on supremacy of law, equality before law, and civil liberties. So I think the court was courageous, because Nigeria is a place that they don't even recognize court again, existence of it. Individuals have taken over. You ask them to pay judgment debt, they don't pay, they don't obey orders, court orders and everything. How can society, those who are governed, are they not the one they are following, creating this quantum of anarchy and dislocation, social dislocation, political dislocation, and economic malaise that we have in the country? A country where rulers don't obey orders of court. It's not a country going to anywhere. Executive recklessness, executive bringadage should be checkmated for us to have a progress and begin to live as people live in the community of decent people, so that we know that law works in Nigeria, and law should not be for or for the underdog.
All right.
We are equal before law.
All right, Mr. Green, let's take this one before we go. And this is according to CBN. Federal government has been borrowing money from the CBN through ways and means advances, and which is like a loan facility through which the CBN finances government's budget shortfalls. What's your take on this? They've been borrowing this money for the past 10 months. What do you think about this?
Why are we knowing now? Is CBN not part of government? He's thinking it's above the government, or because he does what he likes with our money by not even surrendering our money to budgetary process. Look, there are a lot of things that are wrong in Nigeria. I'm telling you this. I may agree that the CBN can take some decisions, particularly monetary policies and everything, according to the law establishing it. But then, it must be accountable to the people, transparently accountable. So why are we know that government has been funding the same government that established it for 10 years and everything? It's just like the son funding the father for a long time, and the casualty there between them will always be accountability, will always be transparency, will always be bad management of the economy, the product and the outflow and that we are seeing today into the system, in our system, where monetary policy have made nuisance out of our naira, making it unstable, making it unattractive, reducing the intrinsic value of naira, and of course reducing it to a joke. Somebody was telling me that in Cotonou the other day, she just came from Cotonou and said that bottle of water there in Nigeria naira, you have to pay as much as over 1,000 naira. That is how low our currency has become in the hand of this same CBN. Politically exposed governors with CBN should not have stayed longer than the time he made attempt to contest election. The thought was even not to talk of the execution, and we saw what happened. He still retained. I don't know. Anyway, the summary of this government is that we have it's a government that is extremely proud of extremely proud of his incompetence. So we don't get anybody sacked, we don't get anything done well, and it's just for the future generation or whether we win election next year to continue this tragic governance that has thrown Nigeria under the boss of ECO.
All right, Mr. Gmiru. Let's take Mr. and Mrs. before we go. And Mrs. is speaking with her friend this time. Says, his mother doesn't let me rest. She's always telling me what is best for her son. And Mrs. friend replies and says, so some husbands come with owner's manual and customer services.
Well, whatever may be the problem, we say this time around, whether mother and everything, loneliness and rejection and depression could cause human being to behave in a particular way, whether mother, whether wife, whether husband. But the most important thing is to know that we have to live together and create a very harmonious and conducive environment for each person to be able to express his opinion, as long as it does not lead to violence, domestic, social violence, domestic violence, particularly against and directed against women and the girl side. And in the spirit of 16 days of activism. So we should tolerate one another. Thank God both of them are women.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Gbenro Ladrigbe. Thank you for sharing your thought with us. And he's the Executive Director of Emergency and Risk Alert. And also remember that you can equally like, share, and subscribe on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. On Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, our WhatsApp number is also displayed there. To find out up-to-date stories, you can go to our website, www.vanguardnj.com, to find out more. I am Precious Chukudi, and thank you for watching.